guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike, he's Jay, and this is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 review, and it sucked!
God, it was fucking terrible, guys. You sexy creations of life.
I'm a
fucking whores.
liar.
I'm kidding! Mike, stop! Because people will really think that we were telling the truth. It was great. It was good. It was wonderful. It was what you expected. And have you heard the word of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? I'm wearing this tie because I got to go to work.
I said, goddamn!
Oh, well, you know, on the heels of Jesus Christ.
I want to make something really clear right now. When I say goddamn, I'm saying goddamn. Because I don't want to take Star-Lord's name in vain.
So, Guardians
Let's
of the
just
Galaxy.
restart that whole thing because that was just really weird.
Why?
I don't know. I just felt weird about
That
it.
wasn't
Didn't
weird.
feel right.
Felt good.
Let's do it again. You ready?
All right, go.
All right. Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike. He's Jay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Dus.
Part
Dicks.
deck. Volume part deck. This was a good movie.
It was
I
good.
enjoyed
I
it.
liked it. I
You
liked
know
it a
what?
lot.
Let's start it off with what the critics were saying versus what actually happened. Actually, they weren't that far off.
This is a few times. I was going to say, one of the few times I'm going to agree with them. We did a podcast yesterday, and we were talking about some of the positive scores that were coming out, saying that they threw a lot of like in the pod, but it was still like kind of a beautiful mess. And I gotta agree with that. I gotta say there was a lot of stuff going on, and it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still fucking good. It was still really, really great and solid.
And the main thing about that is that it could not have been as good as the first one. I think it just going in, you have to understand this is not going to be better than the first movie. That's the bitch about having such a great first movie is that a sequel, the same cast, the only thing you can hope for is that it's just as good, and it almost is. I mean, it's almost just as good. The only thing that this movie maybe does even better than the first movie did was that it's funnier. It's got a lot more comedy.
Yeah, and
in it,
it's
I feel
got
like.
Snake fucking Plissken in it. I like Kurt Russell. I'm in love with the Coco. He's great. He's a great fucking actor, and I love that guy. And anything he's in, I always think it's going to be 10 times better no matter what it is. And he does add the flavor and spice to it. And by the way, at the very beginning of the movie, when they make a young Kurt Russell, I was like, why couldn't it be real?
He looks good.
He does.
Man.
He looked great. I was like, God, Tango and Cash Part 2, can we have it? And it's weird because Sylvester Stallone's in it. I mean, Tango and
God,
Cash.
I didn't even think about
I know.
that.
It's so weird. It's like, why couldn't they have a moment together on the screen?
Sugar is up 2 points.
He's like, I cannot believe it. It's like Captain Fantastic jumps over the couch. But yeah, I mean, it was cool as hell that to see Kurt Russell in it. And the thing that this movie did was it focused a lot more and developed, you know, each individual's character and how they interact with each other as a family unit in space. Which is, again, it's like Full House in space, and I liked it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I will say that sometimes they focus a little bit more on certain characters that you don't really need to be focused on, and that kind of cuts out other characters that should be given some screen time as well. Like, I'm not saying that Peter Quill or Chris... there's so many Chris's. Chris Pratt wasn't given screen time enough, but they're all... Like, I just think that the whole dynamic between him and Kurt Russell should have been explored a bit more. It's explored a pretty good amount, but I feel like they're going and they're looking at Rocket Raccoon and how he interacts with Yondu and what Rocket's really about on the inside, even though I didn't really need an extra story about that because I got pretty much what I needed from the first one.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I already know that Rocket's a good guy, but he's kind of a gruff exterior and he pushes people away, and
There's just a lot going on.
he just needs to go Dr. Phil.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and it's weird because you're watching the movie, and from the get, it's so enjoyable. That opening almost touched the opening of the first one. It was so good. Like, I love the opening of the movie. It's just a fun ride. You enjoy just spending time with these characters. They're all so kick-ass and awesome. Just the way that they do everything. It's like when you watch a movie and certain movies, you see certain characters and you love them, that you just, once the plot gets going, you almost don't want it to, because I just want to hang out with this person and see, I want to watch them eat cereal. I don't know. I just want to see the Guardians hang out. So for the first half of the movie, when the plot hasn't really kicked in yet, it's actually a lot more enjoyable. Once the plot kicks in and the movie feels like it has to do something important, it almost takes away from the joy of it, but not enough to where it's bad. It's still fucking-tastic.
Not that the bad guy in this was... Not that the bad guy in this wasn't bad. I mean, it was good. I liked it, but was it underwhelming in some ways?
It's Marvel, so yes.
It kind of was, but it wasn't a terrible underwhelming thing. I mean, I just thought that the first one had more of an epic kind of bad guy feel to it than this one did.
And you know, a lot of people don't like Ronan.
I loved Ronan. I thought Ronan was kick-ass.
I do too. I think Lee Pace is underrated as shit.
I wish he was still alive.
Lee Pace was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Yeah.
What?
Ben Affleck. You morose motherfucker. But yeah, you know, I just felt like it could have been maybe a little bit more. I didn't feel like galactically threatened. Like, you know, in the first one, it was like it was a galactic threat. You actually felt that intensity. In this one, it was just like, yeah, I mean, it's happening. There's some bad shit going on, but you know, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. But it's just, again, still good, still great, still solid. Nothing wrong with it. And honestly, the music choices that they use, again, I mean, everybody knew that the music choice was gonna be awesome with the soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack, but if there was one thing about this movie that doesn't even compare to the original, it's the soundtrack.
Yeah, the original.
Minus the David Hasselhoff. The soundtrack doesn't touch the original. The original just had so much more epicness to it, and the soundtrack's good. It goes with the movie well, but there's no way that this soundtrack's going to get as much play as that first one did for me.
And in this movie, really, Drax steals the show. Like, he's fucking hilarious. Again, Dave Bautista, every time he's on screen as Drax, it's funny as shit. Like, he's talking to Mantis, talking about how ugly she is, and he's like, "But you're beautiful on the inside." Like, it was like, I mean, it just saying like little, you know, his little normal, how he doesn't get sarcasm and stuff, but he's working on it. He's still like fucking around and floundering, but it's also cool to see him take more of an active role in the whole. And again, I didn't want to do the whole Vin Diesel Fast and the Furious family thing, but it does feel more like a family unit this time, and Drax being more of a taking part in that. So
this family,
even honestly, Nebula, throwing her in the mix, she actually did pretty well. Like, kind of.
And I've never been that into her. I feel like the movie kind of does what they did with Mystique with her.
I want some smart action with her
because she's also blue.
She's got some robotics too.
She's cotton candy. But what they do with her is that it feels like both movies want her to be more important than she is, and she's just a character I don't give a fuck about. But the good stuff about the movie, seriously, Rocket, Baby Groot's fucking hilarious, and Baby Groot's literally a baby. Like, it's what it would be like having a baby in tow while you're doing intergalactic space shit.
The very opening sequence when they're fighting and the baby Groot. I mean, it's not giving anything away. It's dancing for most of it. I mean, it doesn't do shit except dance. It's like it's a mascot, and I liked it.
Yeah, and that like every character of the Guardians is almost even funnier and more well-rounded in this than they were in the first movie. And the fucking movie's a blast, man. Like, just the fact that this movie exists. If the first movie didn't exist, we'd be fucking blown away by this and on the floor. But I mean, blown away on the floor.
I'm not blowing anything on the
Don't blow it on the floor.
Eat it, whore.
Tom. But that's where they get that Wendy's chili. That's that meat off the floor.
Pick it up, throw it in that pot.
But no, seriously, like, the movie's fucking fantastic. It's better than 99% of the shit you're gonna see all year long. It's fun as shit. It's funny as shit, and you don't even get good comedies barely anymore. No. This counts as a comedy to me more than anything else.
I think that. Is there an overreaching plot with the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe in this, even with some of the in-credit scenes? Kinda, but it's not. I think that one reviewer said it best. You said it best, brother.
You said it best, brother.
But he said something like, sometimes it's okay to have a Marvel movie that doesn't tie in with other Marvel movies and just have a really fun movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was going for. Like, it didn't really have any overreaching. I mean, they do mention some things, but it's never like, oh, this is really leading into Ragnarok, or this is really leading into. There are moments, and then you're like, okay, well, that's going to happen. I get that, but it just seemed like they were having fun with the movie. And that's sometimes I just want to go see a Marvel movie without having to worry about like 18,000 different fucking things and how that's going to tie in to 2037 when the Inhumans ballsack comes down from the sky and attacks the Earth.
No one wants that.
That's what you don't want that Terrigen mist on your face.
Have you seen the picture of the Inhumans, by the way?
Yeah.
They look like they're cosplaying
it does look like
X2's closet.
Yeah.
But anyways, the whole movie as a whole is fantastic. It's not as good as the original. Didn't expect it to be as good as the original. It's still an 8.5 for me, and a strong ass 8.5 of that. And we'll get into the end credit scenes and the ties into Marvel in the spoiler review, because there's a whole lot of shit, and I think that's being way overdone at this point. I'm done.
I think that was the joke, though.
But yeah, and I think it's time to stop now, Mac. But we'll get into all that stuff. And real quick, I just want to say it's not a spoiler because it's been in the news that he was in the movie. We won't talk about what he did until the spoiler review. But Sylvester Stallone was fucking rad.
Well, we already mentioned he was in the movie because I said Tango and Cash.
Well, fuck you, right? Holy shit! I'm gonna eat a cake and die.
Eat a dick. But yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 as well. I was gonna push it to a 9 because I mean. Call me Snake. I mean, again.
Push it to the limit.
You tell them hell's coming. But look, it's got its problems like any movie would have, especially following up such a blockbuster hit as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 was. So it was always going to live in its shadow. But the fact that it does its own thing and it kind of goes off its beaten track and explores more with the characters and the dynamics that they have with one another. And it kind of creates the bonds that I think are going to carry over really well into Infinity War when, you know, they meet the Avengers and they have their own unit and they have their own unit. It's going to be really cool things to see. And, you know, everybody's the same and they didn't make anybody like fucking... Everybody stayed true to their character. I mean, everybody was written exactly the way that you'd want them to be written. So I was happy that James Gunn came back to helm it. And if he does a Volume 3, I hope James Gunn's on board with that too, if he's going to come back for Volume 3. I mean,
Kumquat. Question of the day. actually is. I hope that's what I hope happens. I think you got Guardians 1, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Guardians 2, which is fan-fucking-tastic, but it's not Guardians 1. But I hope that Guardians of the 3 does something batshit crazy and like world-changing. I hope it does go deep and do something crazy awesome with everything else going on in the universe. And I hope that what this
They attack Donald Trump's wall.
I hope what this ends up being is just like a fun slip and slide into part 3 when you're watching it. Like
slippery when
slip
wet.
And slide.
Slippery when
a
wet.
slip and slide of good times. That's what I hope. So what do you guys hope happens with Guardians 3? I mean, do you hope that Guardians 3 maintains just this level of fun and containedness? Or do you hope in Guardians 3 it actually, because they're not going to do past a Guardians 3 with this group. They've already said that.
It sucks.
James Gunn said if they did a Guardians 4, it would be with a new group. So what do you guys hope happens
Well, I
with
wonder
that?
if Guardians 4 though. I mean, you know that they'll have one or two hanging around. Like you know, the band will break up, but it's like Kiss. You'll have two of the original and then like two stand-ins.
Maybe like the new Avengers and shit
Yeah.
like that. And also, other question is, do you guys think you're going to end up liking Guardians more than other Marvel properties coming out this year? So what do you think your rating is going to be? Do you think it's going to be Guardians 1, Spider-Man 2, Thor 3?
Thor 3 looks really good.
How you going to rank them bitches?
And Spider-Man looks like, I don't know.
That's why it's a good question.
I think the thing about Guardians though is it's always going to have its own place. Like it's hard to really compare it to any other Marvel movie because there's no other Marvel movie like it. I mean, it's so fucking good. Thor, they're copying a lot of what they're doing in Guardians with Thor.
Yeah.
Just to get it back to that fun level that Thor 1 was.
Imitation is the most impressive form of flattery.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Imitate assert.
Where's the trigger? I'm Mike.
Everybody's
He's
talking about
Jay.
triggers.
We love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn wham up in you. I don't even know where I went with it.
I don't know.
What was I doing?
Did you get scared?
I was wispy. I was like,
That wasn't
fucking-
wispy. That was like
in a vacuum.
No, it
in
wasn't
a vacuum.
but you were
Pressure.
You were
pressure.
in an alleyway walking up on a young woman saying "trigger." You sound like a rapey. It was very rapey.
You got a parallel park.
And then you got to get out of the car,
don't
and then
fail.
you got to look and see if it's next to the curb.
Sometimes-
and then get back in the car, and then make it better.
You can eat Doritos if they fit with your macros.
Do you like the ranch?
Jesus?
Nobody understood that. I don't even know what we just did.